I'm Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the most. Salutations.
I'm Gary.
Considering that it is the summer, I thought I'd talk about something, let's say, water related. I'm going to talk about a mermaid movie from 1948 called Miranda.
Maybe we could go to Wikiwachi and see real mermaids. Woohoo!
Gary, never mind. Well, let's look into Miranda.
Miranda may not be as well known as some other mermaid movies like Splash or The Little Mermaid, but in its own way, it's pretty original, and I'll explain a little later.
Miranda is about a doctor who goes on a fishing trip and gets captured by a mermaid. She agrees to let him go only on the condition that she goes with him back to London.
What do you think?
What do I think? Well, I'll tell you. I think it's pretty good. Miranda is played by Glynis Jones, who's probably best remembered for playing Mrs. Banks in Mary Poppins.
Alan, we had the most glorious meeting. Mrs. Whitburn Allen chained herself to the wheel of the Prime Minister's carriage. You should have been there. Mrs. Banks, I would like to help. And Mrs. Ainsley, she was carried off to prison, singing and scattering pamphlets all the way. I'm glad you're home.
Miranda is a man-crazy mermaid, but not in an insane sort of way. She's kind of charming and has a certain innocence. She also strikes up a relationship with Nurse Carey, played by Margaret Ritford. That Nurse Carey is kind of cute. It's kind of like a cute little sweet grandma. Playing the butler is David Tomlinson, who also played Mr. Banks in Mary Poppins.
People, Jane and Michael, and they meet one day on the street, and Jane says to Michael, "I know a man with a wooden leg named Smith." And Michael says, "Really? What's the name of his other leg?"
And that is where Mr. and Mrs. Banks met.
Miranda ended up getting a sequel called Mad About Men, which with both Glynis John and Margaret Rutherford both reprising their roles.
Franchise.
Miranda and its sequel were both made in Britain. Said it was less known than other mermaid movies, but it was still original in its own way. Well, Robert Armstrong, you want to help me out here?
There's a good reason.
You know how in some mermaid movies they have the mermaid going from legs to tails? In this movie, Miranda hides her tail in a long dress and parades around as a cripple in a wheelchair. This is pretty clever and a very interesting idea in its own way. That's all I have to say about Miranda. But tune in for part 3 of 80s Marathon when me and Gary review The Dark Crystal in commemoration of Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. But until then, this is Henry R. Mockingbird signing off. So long. I give the film 5 stars. Push subscribe and push like, and don't forget to leave comment down below. If you'd like to request an old school movie on this show, please do so by requesting it in the comments.